as we explore the topic of ego and try to understand the phenomenon of ego, where it comes from and what it is and how it operates, one of the interesting things is to explore the phenomenon of narcissism, because people who have really strong narcissistic tendencies are like the extreme version of ego. And sometimes looking at the extremes is helpful because it helps you to understand how it plays out with, quote, normal people. In the same way, there's a lot of people who are not diagnosed as being autistic, but they have borderline tendencies because they're so left brain and they're so anal that in a lot of ways they pattern this whole autism thing. There's a lot of people who might not be diagnosed as being ADD, but on the other hand they have a lot of the tendencies that you would find, and so as we explore these it helps a lot. So there's a lot of interesting things as you look at narcissistic people and how the whole world in their mind evolves around them or revolves around them, and they have a tendency to want to be in situations where people are chasing after them and waiting on them hand and foot and attending to all of their needs, and a lot of times what they will do is get themselves into almost abusive situations where they will be abusive to a person, and they'll find somebody that will take it. In other words, an individual that wants to be with them so much that they will take the abuse and you know, the verbal abuse and otherwise, just because for some reason they have some need that's being fulfilled by the presence of this person.
Right.
And this person is getting their need filled because they're so narcissistic that they want to be around people, you know, because in the world doesn't care about you, okay? And they don't like that. So they want to create their own world in which they are surrounded by people who do care about them, but not necessarily in a wholesome way. A lot of times it's a real negative codependent relationship between them.
Well, one thing that they aren't able to do is reciprocate. It seems like everything is, you know, and they are totally clueless, by the way, that they are having this problem. I mean, they feel like it's everyone else's fault. Everyone else's, you know, it's their problem, not mine. And if you call them on anything, like their selfishness or their self-centeredness, it's like, don't call me on it. This is your problem. And they're very good about talking their way around things. I mean, they're usually very glib, very articulate, quite charming. On the surface, they appear to be the ideal person and the envy of the world because they're there and they seem to know everything.
Yeah.
But you know, the amazing thing about this, I've read this recently, and I don't know that I really knew this, is that they are have a lot of a lack of confidence.
Oh, absolutely.
They have a lack of confidence. This is a big, almost like the blowfish blows up to show, here I am, you know, to frighten the people around them, or the fish around them. And this is what they do. They tend to show this confidence, this feeling of, you know, I'm greater than whatever, and yet in reality, you know, they're very afraid. Yeah,
they tend to be people who have these feelings of inferiority that bother them at a deep level, and they may not be aware of it, but it's there all the time. So they're out in the world where people don't care about them and don't think they're a big shot and ignore them, and they don't like that. In that world. So they create a world in which, in their home or in their close environment, in which they're the king of the hill. Yes. And these people become dictators, they become abusive, they
into politics.
they just whatever, in whatever their circle is, whatever their little pond is, they become the big fish. And yeah, so we see it in politics, we see it in families, we see it in all kinds of situations. And this is their attempt to become superior. They can't, this I'm inferior thing bugs them at a deep level, so they want to fight that by, they have this constant judgment thing going on as they look out at other people, and they want to put themselves in a better situation, and that's easier to do when they put the other person down. So they have disdain and disregard for other people, because as they look at people that way and can see just anything that somebody does that is negative, then they can knock them down a notch, and that puts them up a notch, and now they feel superior to that person. And so they will feel, in the workplace, they'll feel superior to their boss, to their coworkers, and they may be really inferior in terms of their productivity and the contribution they're making in their organization and so forth, but then they have this victim mentality that continually rationalize, and it says, well, you know, the reason for this is because they did that, and the reason I do this is because they do that, and they've got all their reasons, their intricate mind structures for why they actually are superior. Even in the obvious light of inferior performance, they still have this sense of superiority because they have all these ways in which they put down other people. And then in their home, it's really bad because child abuse and all kinds of other things happen. Child neglect.
It's not always obvious either.
No, you know, because they become all powerful in the home. They can do it. They can kick the dog, they can kick the cat, they can misuse the child, they can treat the child like the child is dirt and inferior. They can, you know, or the spouse or whatever, and that makes them feel superior. And if they happen to be in a situation where the spouse, and this doesn't matter whether you're married or not, it could be two people living together, but you know, where the partner just doesn't even want to think about living alone, about this person abandoning them, they got abandonment issues and so forth, then this narcissistic individual starts to feel and to sense that, and they start to use it to their advantage.
That's true.
Yeah, they have little subtle ways of threatening abandonment. Now, I learn a lot about human nature from my cat, Tabasco. I don't know where he is right now. This morning I got up, we had two cats, right? And Tabasco and Marshall, and I got up this morning, and and Marshall came to greet me, and so I started playing with Marshall at the top of the stairs. Tabasco's at the bottom of the stairs watching us, and he's highly jealous, highly jealous. So he got just totally miffed by the fact that I spent time with Marshall before him. So then when I finally came down the stairs, he looked at me and he ran away. And for the first hour that I was up, every time he would see me and I'd walk towards him and say, "Hi, Tabasco," he would just run away. "I don't want to talk to you. I don't want anything to do with you." And then what he does sometimes is he will attack Marshall. He'll see Marshall, and he's so jealous that, you know, he sees you are the object of my rage, and, you know, in his little distorted mind, and he doesn't have the cognitive ability to think this stuff out, but it's still going on anyway.
It's kind of instinctive.
Yes, it's like, I want to be the center of attention. I want to be the first cat that's looked at, that's petted and so forth, and you don't deserve it, and so I am going to punish you.
The thing is, and this is what's so sad about the one who, the codependent one, the one who's supporting the narcissistic tendencies,
right,
is often drained of any life themselves. It's almost like they're beaten back into a pulp. It's almost like they don't have an opportunity to shine, because the narcissistic individual is shining all the time and taking all the space.
Right.
And the one who's supporting all this wonders, what happened to my life? What happened to my identity? Who am I? Where do I stand in all this? Where are my opinions? Where are my thoughts? Where's my life? And it's a very sad situation, because it's like a vampire draining the blood out of the one who is supporting this individual.
Right.
And sometimes it's a spouse, sometimes it's a parent. It can even be, you know, quite often the children who have narcissistic parents don't have a chance. They don't have a chance. They are just drained before their light even can shine. It's all about me, honey. It's all about me. And it's very unfortunate.
You get a couple